Are you only drafting Matthew Golden because of K-pop Demon Hunters and how that is taking over the charts with Golden as the best song?
Did you watch it? I tried 5 minutes of it. And I
watch it because my kids watch it, Jake. You don't have kids. You shouldn't be watching that. It's for little
I just wanted to see what all the rage was about.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog. Jake Ciely from theathletic.com is here. Ian Hartitz from fantasylife.com is here. I have been prodding their rankings over the past month. You can find all of those shows by position down in the description right now. But today, gents, I sent you my list, my top 150 rankings for half-point PPR for the 2025 season. Jake, I saw it on your face when you logged in. It looks like you have just ready to go crazy on these rankings.
No, because I was struggling to go through them all because you sent them in a freaking PDF. Yeah. I was gonna do a VLOOKUP. I know, but I was gonna cross-reference mine at Excel and like this freaking PDF, and I actually have to read through it name by name. So yeah, we're gonna talk about it today. But you made it a little tedious for us, Pat.
I'm sorry, Ian. I thought the PDF, the universal file that can be opened on anyone's computer. I didn't want to send you a docx.
It's 2025, Jake. I asked ChatGPT to turn it into an Excel, and it did in about 30 seconds. So I am very well prepared to go, and I am personally very thrilled to insult Pat here a bit. Let's go, boys.
All right. If anyone needs to know, I am launching a giant Survivor pool. So if you don't know the rules of Survivor, where have you been? But if you go to the description right now, there's the 4for4 for Survivor pool. It's $50 to enter per entry. You can have multiple entries if you like, and there's $500,000 guaranteed. And I think there's some sort of like sign-up bonus if you do it quickly and not wait till the last week of the season. So tell your friends. It's on Splash Sports. Everyone go do that right now. Thank you for your time. If you're looking for the entire list of the top 150, I will have that in my free newsletter where I do have the weekly rankings every single week. Get them emailed directly to you. I'll also have it posted as an article on X, and I will update those in there at those times. So you're going to want to bookmark it. You can find that link down in the description as well. And I do want to tell you about 4for4. You can use the SharpStack app right now. It's a free betting tool. It has arbitrage. It has player props, spreads, totals for every sport, not just football, and it is free until August 20th, 4for4.com/sign up. No credit card, no PayPal, nothing. Just put in an email account, use it for free, and see if you like it. Then you can go to 4for4.com/Mayo and get yourself 25% off any of the packages you got. Enough shilling for me, Jake. Here are my top 20 players of the 2025 season. And I probably have to change them already because someone probably got hurt while we're talking. But here we go. Saquon Barkley comes in at number 1, Bijan 2, Jahmyr Gibbs number 3, Christian McCaffrey number 4, starting it with 4 running backs. Jamar Jefferson and Malik Neighbors, CeeDee Lamb are the next 4. A-Chain, then we're back to receivers. Amon-Ra, Puka, Nico Collins, Drake London, especially with this Darnell Mooney news. Then we're into Derrick Henry, Brian Thomas, Chase Brown, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, and coming in at number 20, Mr. Ciely, Buck likes to fuck Irving.
Thank you for making me have to edit if I want to put this on my podcast now.
Why? You don't just label it explicit and go on your way.
No, I label it as clean. You know me, I'm straight edge. You got to keep it that way.
All right, 314 of the show is where you're looking for. I'll send you the beeps after.
Thank you. Actually, for my podcast, I do pork chop sandwiches, so you could just leave it at that. That'd be nice if you ever watch the old G.I. Joe spoofs. I also want to say something, Pat. I don't know you anymore. I've known you for this long. I don't know. What are you doing with 4 running backs to start your draft?
Because I'm zagging. Where other people took my go heavy on wide receiver strategy. Now it became ubiquitous. Now I got to zag back the other way.
I see that, and you're zagging hard. I would have never expected 4 straight running backs, especially before Chase, which I say Ian's smiling. I have a feeling it's going to be the argument for Chase. Like, I have Chase 1, but then I go with the same 3 running backs. Same 3 running backs. The Christian McCaffrey, we already had that conversation. Like, I have no problem taking him 5th. We know that he has the upside to be the number 1 player in all of fantasy. We know the people in front of him don't have the injury risk that he has. So if you want to argue that he goes ahead of him and you want to take that chance, I'm not going to fault you for it. If you wanted to take him one-on-one, I'm not going to fault you for it because you have to. If you're in the first round, wherever you're drafting, you're probably going to have to take him unless he's not going to make it back to you in the second at this point.
So Ian, I almost did it. I almost made McCaffrey my number one player, and I was like, wow, he is getting a bit older. Maybe the overall ceiling is higher with the three other guys right now. But when you start looking at the dearth of talent and all the injuries for the 49ers, they might have to give give McCaffrey the ball 800 times a game. But if you put McCaffrey at 9, what the hell is the difference? As Jake said, you're going to have to take him in the first round. If you think he's good enough to be taken at 9, he's good enough for any one of the first 9 picks.
The argument with CMC is always, well, what if he gets hurt? What if he doesn't? Then you do have, the number one running back ever in terms of PPR points per game. It is funny how every single running back in the 49ers room right now is basically getting injured, except for CMC. Saw someone joking around about if that room has been built on Indian burial ground or something, pet cemetery all over again. But no, man, I'm fine with the running back order. Also, respect to you for having Saquon number 1. Fun fact, everyone actually took 15 minutes to run the numbers. It's not just the reigning RB1 who scores less fantasy points the next year. It's rating RB1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on average because it's really freaking hard to score that many points 2 years in a row. Don't solely hold that against Saquon. But Pat, I guess my question would be, if you're going all in on this, if you're saying, okay, McCaffrey's not any more injury prone than the next guy, what's Derrick Henry doing all the way in the middle of round 2, man? Because I feel like if there was someone where, man, you could hope for this 25 LaDainian Tomlinson 30S touchdown season, it's got to be the big dog in Baltimore.
I don't take running backs that don't catch passes. By rule.
He doesn't need to. He doesn't need to.
Maybe he doesn't need to, but the precipitous decline when it eventually hits, I'm not saying it's this year, it comes faster than normal for that type of running back, where Alvin Kamara can be like absolute dust and still be pretty fine because he's going to get his baseline every single game. And I just trying to continue to go on this outlier of Derrick Henry. Maybe I'm just sick of having Derrick Henry on my team, but he is not the type of running back that I really want to go with. Like, I have A-Chain at number 9, and I have Genty ahead of him at number 14. So those two guys that I think they're going to be involved in the passing game. Therefore, if they're involved in the passing game, that means that they don't have to score 30 touchdowns in order to be the running back 1. I just find a very hard path to make Derrick Henry the running back 1. I feel like his upside for this season, maybe he gets capped at like running back 5, or at least with those other guys that are ahead of him. They probably do finish behind him, but at least they have the chance to be the best running back.
I do think that Saquon honestly has similar concerns. He averaged less than 1 reception more than Henry. Obviously, Saquon can catch passes more so better than Henry, but in that offense with Hurts and all the other guys, I do think the big dog a little bit undervalued. I will say also my other big beef, Jake talked about Jamar Chase. CeeDee Lamb, 108. At this point, the Cowboys might as well be the NFC version of the Bengals, especially if this Micah Parsons situation actually doesn't get resolved. The number 1 wide receiver in PPR points and half PPR points per game these last 2 years is CeeDee Lamb. 108, Pat, that's some ESPN ADP bullshit. What are we doing here?
Oh, I went with the running backs up top. And the reason that I didn't go with Chase number 1, because I actually don't think that there's that big of a difference between Chase and CeeDee Lamb and the two guys in between with Jefferson and Neighbors. Maybe I'm wish casting a little bit with Neighbors more, Jake. And the toe injury does bother me a little bit. If you wanted to take Lamb over Neighbors, go for it. I just think that Neighbors, year 1 to year 2, we see so many breakouts happen in that way, and he already established himself as such a stud the first time around. And then I saw clips of like Jackson Dart and Russell Wilson like chucking him passes, and I thought, this is perfect. Just take 5 steps and chuck it up and see what happens. That's what I'm looking for. But I think Ian makes a good point with Lamb, though, is that they're going to score like 40 points a game and go 0-17.
So there's a couple. Yeah, I want to backtrack all the way to Derrick Henry after this because we're sticking right here, at least for Lamb. I am taking Lamb number 2. I would take him in front of Jefferson. I would take him in front of Neighbors and everything. That being said, I mean, CeeDee Lamb, people have already quickly forgotten. I know that you didn't, but just 2 years ago, he was the number 1 wide receiver. He put up what Jamar Chase put up last year, almost 24 points per game in full PPR, over 20 and half PPR. And the other wide receivers haven't. Like, Jefferson hasn't gotten there yet, which is like crazy to think about. As good as Jefferson's been, Jefferson hasn't touched that Lamb season, which is what Chase did. And so I look at it similar to Ian, as I'm taking him as the number 2. If Dak is back, if he bounces back, part of Dak's problem last year was not just the injuries. He didn't look very good last year, but also he was under duress for a lot of it. I don't know how better that offensive line is. But you can paint all these pictures to say they're going to have to pass this year and hope that Dak bounces back, has Pickens as his number 2. So I am taking Lamb, and I would probably put Lamb, so I have Chase number 1. I go with the 3 running backs. I can see an argument for Lamb versus McCaffrey. Honestly, I'd still go McCaffrey, as we already talked about. But to come back to Derrick Henry's been number 3, number 2, even number 1 in full point PPR already. It's not like he finishes
What
as
year?
the RB.
What year did he come number 1 in full point PPR? 2018.
No, it was, I think, a little bit sooner than that. Last year he was number 3. He was actually tied with, I forget who it was last year that was in number 3. It was actually almost a full point ahead of the guy you brought up. So when was Derrick Henry's number 1?
On Derrick Henry, Pat, I've been asking myself this question. Like,
2000.
okay, if the fantasy gods like said, okay, you are literally going to die unless you correctly predict exactly how many touchdowns Henry scores this year. I'm saying like 22.
I'd say 17.
It was 2021.
That's
2021.
4 years ago. It's a running back, and he
It's-
is
but
the
it
outlier.
doesn't- okay, hold on. Two
Okay,
things.
how about this? I don't want to fucking own Derrick Henry. I'm sick of it.
Okay. Well, and see, that's why these are your ranks. This is what. So, Ian's, as you're coming in like fresh to this, as I've done this as long, Pat's basically making a statement here. He's just saying, I'm not drafting Derrick Henry because there's no way on earth you're getting him at 15. So
Exactly.
just be like, I am out on Derrick Henry, which is fine. Our arguments are just the fact that we're both on Derrick Henry. Somebody, like I said, who has finished in full PPR. There's been seasons where he's been actually just as good in points per game basis, ranking wise, like RB3 or 4, whatever it might be, non-half and full point PPR because he's such a touchdown monster. The only season he didn't get 12 since being a full-time starter on the ground was the year he got 10 in 8 games. Like I know you said you don't want to bank on that guy, but if it was small, it was Ezekiel Elliott who actually had passing game works, but I'm just bringing it up to stay stylistically. The guy, the body, the shape, the build, and everything like that. Zeke, and you were right. At some point, it falls off, and it kind of falls off dramatically. I'm not just doing that. Derrick Henry's just an outlier. He's an outlier of football. He's a freak of nature, and that's why I'm just not scared of it.
With the way that the Packers' injuries are building up, Ian, I don't see that big of a difference between Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs this year.
I've been drafting a lot of Jacobs too. I got him player 19, you got him player 18, so we're pretty much on the same page in that. I just think that Henry should be going ahead of some of these wide receivers that do have a few problems as well. Amon-Ra with the new offense, obviously Jameson Williams not exactly a jag, and they're going to be running the ball. Puka Nacua, who's he going to be catching passes from? Is it actually going to be Stafford's back or Jimmy G out there? Apparently the most hated backup quarterback in the league as it's been going. So again, Josh Jacobs, man, I've been happy to draft him, and honestly, like where you have him, you should be getting Jacobs a lot. He is someone that we see even leak into that early round 3 spot sometimes. Sign me up there.
So the big thing for me, especially one of the reasons I bumped down some running backs as a part of round 2, 10 to 20 in the rankings, because Jake, I do try to fuel it off of what I do at the beginning of my rankings as well. That if you do take Saquon number 1, or you take Christian McCaffrey number 4, I probably don't want to follow that up with Derrick Henry at the same time. So as a part of my rankings, I'm trying to ensure that you probably get what I would consider to be an elite receiver. There's the elite 4, then there's like 8 guys right after that. I don't necessarily think I would want to start running back unless everything broke exactly right with the guys that I like a little bit better.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point because we're talking strategy. This is actually why I like the end of the first round this year. If I don't get Chase or have to make that decision, I mean, we have similar talent in the middle of the draft where at the end of the first round, I know I'm getting an elite running back and elite wide receiver. As you said, not 100% of the time, the draft might fall a little bit weird, but to your point, even if I'm drafting 6 and I'm like, you know what, I am going to make that McCaffrey pick, I'm most likely coming around in the middle of round 2 and taking a Nico Collins, or if I'm trying to think, Amon-Ra St. Brown keeps falling back, which I still don't get what that's happening about. But any of those wide receivers that's still in that number 1 tier, Jackson Smith and Jigba, or 2 tier that we talked about a few weeks ago, I'm with you. Conversely, if you don't want to do this, you're sitting here and you're watching all 3 of us like, I hate running backs. You guys are all dumb. I'm taking a wide receiver in the first round. Well, then that's fine. To your point, Pat, is like if you take Nacua at 6 or Jefferson, then you come back in the second round and take a Jacobs or a Genty or even a Kyron Williams who just got his contract, or a Jonathan Taylor. I think it's a really smart approach to go that way.
Jake, you were saying just real quick on the Jamar Chase point, like, would you prefer, because I think I'm team 101 if you can get it, because the drop off after around the 24th, 25th player, depending on how your draft is going to go, that's when you start getting those, elite tight ends, the quarterbacks. But then we have the wide receivers and running backs with a few more question marks, being able to get 3 of those top 25 players again before we start getting some of those teardrops. That's been my favorite thing. If we can't get 101, then I understand maybe going towards the back half of it. But 101, all things equal, Jake.
I was narrowly, yes, all things equal. I'm first or last, 101, and if not, I like 111 or 112. The Ricky Bobby approach. I know what you're saying, but I've done a lot of drafts so far where I've ended up with like the 11th, 12th spot, and getting that elite double position, running back and wide receiver, I think offsets your point. You're 100% right. And I think that it offsets because you have both instead of like a tier 1 running back or wide receiver and then kind of a fringy tier 2 or 3, depending on how the draft falls. You get back around, like you're saying, to 24. I hate the feeling if Cook and Brown are both off the board and now you're kind of like, okay, well, do I take Kamara or Walker? And I just don't love that feeling as much, but I agree and understand your point there. But I think you can make either work. And the reason the 11-12 I like a little bit more too is because if you are going to go the elite quarterback route, one of those big 3 or 4 is usually there at the end of round 3, which I prefer doing to the beginning of round 3.
Trying to think of how you get out of this. You take Chase first. What does that leave you with at the turn? Just we'll throw out some player names. Does that leave you George Kittle and Chase Brown? Is that what it looks like, Ian?
I don't think so. I probably wouldn't even go to Kittle at that point. I would still be looking at Chase Brown, like you said. Bucky Irving is someone where, again, just based on the ADP, is going to be available around there. Lab McConkey, A.J. Brown. I have T. Higgins in that same tier with them. I'm probably not going to be trying to stack them with Chase, in terms of a normal redraft league and stuff. But for me, it would be Jamar Chase 1, and then maybe double tapping those running backs because, man, guys, as I am starting to get into more so of the, home league ADP out here, shout out ESPN, Yahoo, and Sleeper and all that. To me, the biggest values in these are the mid, like later round, 6, 7 round wide receivers. So if I can get out of the top 4 rounds with ideally 2 wide receivers and 2 running backs, I just like those roster constructions the best. But I hear what Jake's saying in terms of liking the quarterbacks, elite ones, more so at the end of round 3 as opposed to early. That's the problem, though. We see them in these home leagues, guys, going into parts of round 2. I am not good with that.
I think you guys have sold me on this Lamb thing. I'm going to switch Lamb and Jefferson. I'm going to make Lamb number 2, Jefferson number 4.
How brave.
And keep Neighbors where he is. It is. I'm a hero.
We didn't touch on that. I'm glad you brought up the Neighbors thing because it's not just the toe now. It's an additional injury that he's picked up. And I keep going back to this. If we are nitpicking, look, I have no problem if you being Pat, rank him there. If other people agree with you. I just feel like, in my opinion, I'm going to have 0 Neighbors just because I'm a little bit lower. I would take Drake London at this point over him. I would take Brian Thomas over him just because if we're going to go through the list of like, okay, how does this go wrong for blank wide receiver? If it's Russell Wilson for a time and Russell Wilson's just Russ, it's going to be mediocre. And then what if they switch to Dart? And I know he had just had a great preseason performance, but what if Dart looks anything like Drake May for last year? And all of a sudden the passing numbers go downfield or down overall. Or what if Jameson's out there and it's fun? Jameis is great for touchdowns, great for upside, but he might be catching 40% of his passes. And all I'm saying is just, if we're going to nitpick Thomas, London, I just think he has the biggest question mark around him.
Well, Ian, that's interesting because if that's the case with Neighbors, and I am starting to get more concerned, it's the toe that really does bother me if that does force him to miss time because he's been dealing with it since college now. And then whatever he picks up along the way, which he already has during the preseason and training camp, that
shoulder.
His shoulder. So, and he's sitting out the last 2 days as we're recording this right now, dropping on the Thursday. Smash the like while you're here. If you smash the like, sub to Mayo Media Network in the comment section. Tell me the one ranking of the one player you disagree with most. I'm already going to take a shellacking from these guys going down the list. Let me take it in the comment section too. Who do you hate the most that I have ranked? Like that is asinine. And maybe the answer is Derrick Henry. Who knows? But if I'm not going to rank Neighbors here, I feel like he drops to like A.J. Brown at 21. Because I'm saying I'm so worried about him that he's no longer a first-round pick. I'm just not taking him.
There's a good quote from Yahoo Scott Pianowski. Injuries will find your fantasy team during the season. You don't have to go looking for them in the draft. So I do get that to some point. But like you said, he's been dealing with this toe thing since college. And I do think once you get past the big 3, okay, and I would include Jefferson, hamstring injury aside, doesn't seem like the biggest issue. Chase, CD, Jefferson, however you want to kind of rank CD and Jettas, go for it. But at that point, that's where I'm going Nico Collins actually ahead of Malik Neighbors because I believe in CJ Stroud more than anyone throwing the football in New York right now. I think think they're similar talents. Okay, if you want to say Neighbors is a little bit better, that's fine. But they're in the same tier of just being ballers, similar volume ceilings. And then also, 26 years old for Nico, not exactly an old geezer at this point either. But for me, those are the guys where they actually probably should be ranked 4 and 5. That's where I have them, because Puka's got Devontae Adams. He's got Stafford with the bad back. You start going down the list, A.J. Brown, Drake London, they got the Moonies, they got the Devontae Smiths going there. For me, again, the big 5 should be including Neighbors and Nico if we are trying to, again, check all those boxes of age, talent, quarterback, and your potential volume ceiling.
So I'm saying that I'm not concerned about it. The other part, Jake, that I would worry about with the Giants, if they're being a smart franchise, and you as a former Giants fan probably know that they're not the most bright at times, is that if they truly are out of it in like week 14 and Neighbors has a toe injury, you might not just see him again.
That's a really good point that I wasn't even thinking on top of it. And having the schedule that they do, it wouldn't be a shock if they were one of the worst teams in the NFL again. And if they turn to Dart at some point and they are looking to next year, hell, we could have a situation where they get Dart to his games and all of a sudden he picks up just this small injury and know that he's the future and sit him for the final 2 games for thinking about 2026. So again, it's not, we're just trying to figure out what gives us our best start. And I have Malik Neighbors inside my top 10, but to go back to last year, 170 targets and 14.5 fantasy points per game and half, that puts him at wide receiver 10. It actually puts him at wide receiver 8 or 9 in points per game most years. And I'm just saying, how does it get better with Russell Wilson and Jackson Dart? That's my biggest issue, is where does it really improve? It would really probably have to be mostly in the touchdown department. And does anybody have that kind of confidence in the Giants team that he's going to get 12 to 15 touchdowns and push this top tier? And that's just where I'm saying I'm taking Nakua. London, I could see that. 170 targets again from London, which will probably be in the first 7 weeks, given what they have left at this point. London could be the one that we're talking about next year that's all of a sudden in that tier with Lamb and Jefferson. Maybe if Puka Nacua and Stafford both stay healthy. Brian Thomas takes another step forward, and everybody's overrating the fact of they have Travis Hunter now. Okay, Jamar Chase has T. Higgins. Why are we downplaying Brian Thomas for also hopefully having Trevor Lawrence for the entire year because they added Hunter? It's not always they added a weapon and now the lead guy is going to take a step back. So I just see all of these names being in the potential to take that leap, and Neighbors just has the most going against him, even though I think he can make the leap.
I would say that no matter how bad Wilson and Dart are, or hell, Jameis is, it's an upgrade over what the Giants had last year. So maybe a few more catchable targets. It's not Tommy Cutlets out there anymore.
Yeah, but it wasn't the Saints. We'll put it that way.
Their quarterback situation was very bad.
It was, but there was actually, if you go to catchable targets, there was actually a pretty good number going Neighbors' way. It wasn't as, I'm not saying you're not wrong in the fact that it's down the bottom of the league, but it's not as bad. It's not like he was only getting 50% from Anthony Richardson that are catchable.
That's true. And Anthony Richardson has to take a sig break halfway through a play, halfway through a drive, get to the sidelines. I'm tapping out for this one. For over a century, Johnnie Walker has shared its bold spirit with the game of golf. Now, crafted with Devereux Golf, Johnnie Walker introduces the Johnnie Walker Blue Label-inspired Sunday Golf Bag, elevating the game with sleek design, Blue Label hues, and refined gold accents. Celebrate your hole-in-one with a premium Sunday bag crafted by Devereux Golf. Submit proof of your achievement to johnniewalker.com/blue-in-1. Please drink responsibly. Right now is the best time to prep for the coming months. What I mean by that is you got a bunch of stuff outside. What are you going to do with it? Where are you going to put it? My solution? I went to wayfair.com because it was delivery free, it was fast, and now I have a place to put a lot of my outdoor furniture to make sure that I have room in my house for the entire winter. In fact, I even found some outside storage to make sure that it wasn't just cluttered all around downstairs in the basement. Wayfair's huge selection of outdoor items makes it easy to find exactly what's right for you. There's something for every style and every home, no matter your space or your budget. So get organized, refreshed, and back to routine for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things at home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home.
Complete random thought. I was having this conversation with my buddy. Anthony Richardson's 240 pounds. He is 30 pounds heavier than Lamar Jackson. Where is all of that weight? Is it all in his ass? I have no idea where the weight is for Anthony Richardson.
He's tall.
He gets knocked around a lot. Like
no, he's this hard. They're about the same type. And that was my point, Ian, is like, how does he not, like, why does he get hurt so much when he's carrying the 240 pounds? He's, about the same height as Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson's 30 pounds lighter and knows how to not get hurt.
I think his awareness is just that bad. Like when you watch fights and stuff, they always say like the punches.
32 rating on Madden.
Yeah, but like they're the punches you don't see coming, and that's what seems to happen with Richardson. When he dislocated his pinky, it's like, bro, he's coming right there. Maybe you should have seen it before the snap, but it's just, man, one big hit after another for the biggest
slide on one of those runs, go out of bounds.
Yeah,
I am seeing. I don't know how accurate these stats are. That Richardson's 2.5 inches taller than Lamar. He's 6'4.5". Lamar's 6'2".
What is Daniels? How tall is Jaden Daniels? Isn't he like? There was one of them that was almost the exact same.
Well, Jaden Daniels weighs like the same as me. Yeah, Jaden Daniels is 6'4". He's like the same.
Yeah, that's the same height, but 35 pounds lighter.
Richardson's basically Trump, right? What'd they try to say? 6'3", 240. Derrick Henry, Trump, Richardson, just same specimens, right?
So the other few guys on this part that you can nitpick anything. I did bump up Jacobs because the backups just keep getting hurt. Like it's going to be a thing with these guys at this point. They just have reoccurring injuries and they're never on the field anyway. Chase Brown. So the Zach Moss got the Super Roxbury surgery. He's done. Neck problem. He's gone from the team. Who is the backup in Cincinnati now?
Taj Brooks.
I don't think it's going to.
Flash P. Ryan.
I don't think any of this is going to hurt Chase Brown. He might be like an 80% back.
No, I'm with you. And I think we talked about it on this show when we did running backs. If not, I mean, billion podcasts at this point. But Taj Brooks, I think, is a lot like Chase Brown. But to your point, Pat, it's that I think if Chase Brown ever got hurt, that Brooks could step in and be the guy. I think P. Ryan is going to be P. Ryan no matter what. So I'm with you. I think we went to this entire offseason. It's like, please, Bengals, leave Chase Brown alone. Please leave him alone. Please leave him alone. They leave him alone. Brooks is a day 3 pick, and everybody's like, I don't know if I want Chase Brown now. What the hell happened? The guy from week 5 on was a top 6 running back.
I actually did adjust my ranks like after I saw this from Pat and moved Chase Brown up in terms of overall. I had him kind of behind Bucky from before, but I do think when you do lose that Zach Moss part of the equation, it's enough of a reason to go ahead and just not worry about it. As much as I get some dead zone vibes because I don't know that Chase Brown is this world-class real-life running back. I mean, at the end of the day, the Bengals scoring offense is the most fantasy-friendly environment in all of fantasy football. So it seems like a situation not to really overthink it. Could Piron maybe steal a few long down and distance snaps here or there? Sure. I don't think Taj Brooks is bad by any stretch either, but at the end of the day, it does seem like he's going to have a chance for that 70-80% snap roll. He catches passes like we're talking about. He's one of those guys that should be ahead of, I think, those tight ends and quarterbacks that, again, trying to avoid in my first 3 picks if I can.
And he's ahead of one person. Pat, respect to your rankings of having Chase Brown in front of Jonathan Taylor, who's been hurt all of the last 3 seasons at some point. He keeps getting hurt. Everybody's afraid of McCaffrey, Barkley, and Henry hasn't even been getting hurt. And like, nobody wants to talk about, hey, why are we not considering how much of an injury risk Jonathan Taylor is at this point, let alone that offense, which might be, I mean, Anthony Richardson can keep him fine. I'm not worried about Anthony Richardson hurting Taylor's value. We just saw that it's not going to be a concern. But just the rotation of, Daniel Jones comes in because Anthony Richardson gets hurt, and then that offense has to be rejiggered a little bit, and then they go back and then forth. Like, it's just, if we're bringing up questions, I like that you have Chase Brown in front of Jonathan Taylor. It goes back to the neighbors one. If we have questions, who has more questions? Jonathan Taylor.
I do worry about his consistency week to week as well. That it's not
Taylor?
like Jonathan Taylor's. Yeah, it seems like he has really big weeks because with Richardson there, and I think to a lesser degree, Daniel Jones will provide not much of the same, but the same sort of concepts when he's doing bootlegs out. Like, you do have to account for Daniel Jones's running if he ends up starting, and it will create bigger gaps, and Taylor will break off these big plays. But how many times were you watching Jonathan Taylor last year? Be like, oh yeah, he's off. He has 9 carries for 61 yards. Jonathan Taylor ended with 23 carries for 79 yards. Like, there's just a lot of that. I just worry that he's, I don't want to say aged out. It's just this offense is just not conducive with scoring points.
No, how many rushing yards per game do you think Jonathan Taylor averaged last year?
91.
102. He's fifth all time in rushing yards per game. A lot of people are still pissed off that he dropped the ball before the goal line in week 15 against the Broncos last year. And that was messed up. I get it. I guess my just kind of rebuttal to this would be Taylor does have some 2024 Saquon vibes in terms of being that round 2 running back who we all know is really good, but maybe we're starting to doubt a little bit because he's been playing through injury these last few years. But truly, like the last time he was fully healthy in a good offense was that 2021 season when he finished as the RB1 overall. And I know the big difference here in this analogy is the fact that I don't think the 2025 Colts resemble the 2024 Eagles with the offensive line scoring upside. But if you are trying to find this running back who can give you 4 or 5 50-plus yard chunk touchdowns, Taylor's on that short list.
But I guess what I would think about with this is, over 100 yards per game, only played 14 games. So you said that's the 5th most ever?
Overall career, he's at 89.7, which is the 5th most of all time.
Okay, so last year's over 100 a game. That's great. He scored 17.6 fantasy points.
And that's the thing too. Is like if you look at it,
it's like when we talked about Pollard. It's just like he doesn't score fantasy points anymore.
No, but I think the bigger takeaway from here is I think none of us are wrong. I think we just have to understand that.
Right. That means I'm right.
That's what I was going to go with, Pat. What you're saying is that if you do take Taylor, I understand your roster construction for Jonathan Taylor is going to be a roller coaster of a running back because I brought this up before. 38% of his fantasy production was in the final 3 weeks, including week 18, which we don't care about. And I'm not saying that like the 38% could have been in the middle of the season. It could have been it was just that 3-game stretch at the end of the season, which actually could have been worse because Ian just brought it up that he threw the ball on the ground. It could have had an extra touchdown, so it would have been over 40%. But even if you spread those games out and not having them 3 weeks in a row, your point remains. Taylor is more likely to be the guy that you get 1 week and like, holy hell, he just got me 4 points. What happened? He just scored me 28 last week. That's the ride you're going to accept if you are drafting Jonathan Taylor, where Chase Brown is probably never going to score single-digit points.
To throw onto that, Ian, as well, and maybe it's different with Daniel Jones. I don't think that it would be, but this Colts team does not throw to its pass-catching running back. It's not like Taylor can't catch. We've seen this before, but they just don't do it. Richardson takes sacks instead.
Yeah, and look, I mean, he's not the best, receiving back as is. I will say the one thing the Colts do under Shane Steichen is they will be more willing to leave that singular running back on the field more than most. I mean, the only offenses last year that were more willing to play a running back for 90% plus of the snaps were the Rams with Kyren Williams, and then also those Cincinnati Bengals with Chase Brown. So we even saw it 2 years ago when Zach Moss was going bonkers in the first 4 weeks of the year. Like, they really do ride or die with one singular running back. And I mean, okay, we can talk about DJ Giddens or Tyler Goodson, but there really is no competition in that Colts backfield. So again, I don't really disagree with where you have Taylor. You have him 19, I have him 18th overall, but I think it's hard to move him much lower because end of the day, guys, like we're getting 20 plus touches per game from a really good real life running back here. That's hard to complain too much about.
I think talent-wise, Taylor's better than just looking at my rankings now.
Yes.
I mean, are you guys the same way that every time you open your rankings, you look at them and you're like, why do I have it like that? Like, just depending on the day?
Yeah. And then you get into a draft
I'm
and
more
you start like
confident.
debating your rankings when you're actually on the clock, and then you got to start changing them there. So,
But I look at someone like Kyren, who has this new big extension coming in. Like, why do I like Kyren Williams less than I like Jonathan Taylor? In reality,
So
I like
that was
Kyren Williams. Like, Jonathan Taylor is a more talented running back. But even if Stafford doesn't play and Jimmy G is the quarterback of the Rams, it's still a way better offense than the Colts.
I have Kyren Williams at RB7.
Let's do it. Let's move him up from 21 to 19. We're pumping down JT.
We were all concerned in the fact that the biggest concern with Kyren and why it should be gone is because he got the contract, is because Sean McVay can make good running backs great. Kyren Williams, you just brought up talent. I will take Jonathan Taylor 10 times out of 10. I will take Genty. I will take Jacobs, Irving, Chase Brett. Like, I don't believe Kyren Williams is one of the 7 or 8 most talented running backs in the NFL. Sorry, Kyren Williams. I think he's a good running back, but McVay makes them great, similar to what Shanahan has done. But the issue here was that, okay, if he has 2 or 3 bad games, because he can make good running backs great, what if they turn? What if they go to Corum and he actually has something? Or what if they use Hunter as the lead option and then Kyren never gets the job back? But you just handed out that contract. Kyren Williams isn't losing the job this year. So that's why. Yes, he is somewhat volume dependent, unlike he was 2 years ago. 2 years ago was a much better per touch basis. Last year was kind of a Joe Mixon kind of season. But guess what? He's going to get the volume. He is never, you know how many single digit performances he had last year? 1. Kyren is going to get the ball near 20 times a game every single week.
Yeah,
Buck.
I mean, last 2 years, only running backs with more PPR points per game: Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Jahmyr Gibbs. That's it. He's going to keep scoring touchdowns. He actually doesn't even catch as much passes as you'd expect, given his profile coming out of Notre Dame. But honestly, I've kind of been pushing back against, this Kyren hate throughout the offseason. The Rams have taken a running back in 8 consecutive drafts, as much as everyone has rookie fever, and maybe Jarquez Hunter is really good. All those nice things that McVay and Les Snead were saying about Jarquez Hunter after the draft, man, go back and look at what they were saying about Blake Corum last year, and it didn't freaking matter because, again, whether it's Gurley, C.J. Anderson, Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, any of these running backs over the years, Sean McVay leaves one on the field far more often than pretty much anyone else. So
Here's a
again,
question for
until
you.
we see it with our 2 eyes, man, I'm expecting him to lean on Kyren. And yeah, man, he's a top 20 player for me.
Pat, I don't think you might be done moving him, because if you're on the board, do you draft Kyren or Derrick Henry?
There, I'd probably take Derrick Henry.
Okay, I just was curious because you really are out on Derrick Henry. I thought you might go Kyren in that situation.
See, the thing is, I'm not out on Derrick Henry, but I like him like I like the guys in this tier, not like I like the guys in the tier above him.
Okay.
That would be sort of my line of demarcation. And Genty is kind of the same way. If you give me a choice between A-Chain and Genty, I'm taking A-Chain.
Yeah, see, I have A-Chain in front of Williams by 1 spot just because I think there's a slightly higher ceiling.
I think there is a ceiling for the number 1 running back with A-Chain. That's why I have him ranked as high as I do. Whether he gets there, who knows? But
that Tua, like the with and without Tua is so stark.
It's true.
He was also playing through that high ankle sprain, though, to be fair.
True.
If you get the combination of Achane, because again, 7.8 yards per carry as a rookie. And then last year, he leads all running backs in terms of his receiving production. Like, if we somehow get that blend of those 2 years, he is going to be the RB1 overall. So I got Achane as my RB4. I'm in line with Pat. He's my 9th player overall. So yeah, all the Achane.
The way that I would play the Colts backfield, honestly, it does seem like DJ Giddens is the true backup now, or at least the one who would replace Jonathan Taylor, unless I'm completely reading that situation wrong. That I'd rather take him in the last round. And if Taylor gets hurt, now I just have a guy I can play. I don't have the highest expectations, but if Taylor didn't exist, but Giddens had the Taylor role in this offense, what would he be, like RB 18 every week?
At least I think that Giddens, you and I have talked about this even before we were talking about Ian. I have so much Giddens because I believe he's got some David Montgomery similarities. He's not a 1-for-1 comparison, but similar style, and the fact that he can do stuff in the passing game, maybe even more so than Montgomery, that he's on the wrong team for that. But the point being is that he can be on the field for all 3 downs. And I have, as soon as they drafted him, you know that, Pat, you and I talked, I thought he was the direct backup, and all the talk has been he is the backup where we've seen this before. Again, Jonathan Taylor gets hurt and somebody steps in. I'd say worst case, he's RB18. I think there's a potential for RB1 numbers similar to what I threw out to you when we talked about it. I said, pretend David Montgomery is the backup for Jonathan Taylor. Would he not be going in like the 9th, 10th round?
If that's the case, then that's the way that I want to play this backfield. Look, I'm not rooting for Jonathan Taylor to get hurt, but if he gets hurt, because I hear injuries happen in the NFL, that's how I'd rather play that, because I'm not convinced of the upside of Jonathan Taylor, especially where you have to pick him. But I'd love to have his backup play in the same role for absolutely no cost.
Yeah, he's free. And look, you guys really should be, you guys as in all you listeners, appreciate you all. But yeah, you should be loading up on guys like DJ Giddens late. All right. Spare me the wide receiver 5s and 6s. Pains me to say it. Spare me the Darius Slaytons in more leagues than not. I am in some 14-team league, 3 flexes where Darius Slaytons of the world do make some sense. But yeah, we don't see other positions where they, again, have the chance to rise up the ranks so freaking fast like we do with running backs. So you don't need a second quarterback or tight end, especially if you use a high round pick on it in the first place. Honestly, if you aren't forced to draft a DST or kicker right now, don't. There are going to be fine enough options on the waiver wire. And again, getting guys like Taj Brooks or DJ Giddens, man, we are one injury, suspension, guy wins the lottery and takes a season off away from them becoming household names on the cover of every waiver wire article. So last point on JT, like originally, yeah, he has missed more games than Christian McCaffrey over these past 3 seasons, but similar to my point with CMC, like if Jonathan Taylor doesn't get hurt, there's 2,000 yard total upside, total yard upside on the table. This Colts offense, I know they haven't been the most consistent in the world, but Shane Steichen's actually gotten more than I think we would have expected out of guys like Gardner Minshew, even old man Joe Flacco last year. So I will say this, guys, every running back we talked about, I do have ranked ahead of Bucky Irving right now. And we can maybe get into that a little bit. Jake, curious on your thoughts, because I like Bucky. He's a lot of fun to watch, but I don't like betting on a running back like Bucky, who we're probably projecting for 50 or 60 fewer touchdowns touches than all these other guys, simply beating them out because he's that much better at football. I think every running back we talked about is pretty freaking talented. And again, the one bet I don't really want to be making in round 2 is someone like Bucky just being that much more efficient, that much better with the ball in their hands when it's coming on so much less potential volume.
I think Bucky Irving deserved. By the way, also real quick, big pause here. I actually took Darius Slayton in round 22 of a best ball, if that makes you guys happy.
Yeah, Darius break the Slayton. There we go.
22. How is he still there? I wasn't in that draft.
We have to draft defenses in this best ball too, so that's part of it. I agree with the Bucky Irving thing, and on top of it, Rachaad White just got banged up, and I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, Rachaad White was still involved until
Tucker time."
Yeah. Hey, that's one to look at too, especially if White is going to miss time, because he's just the next man up behind Bucky Irving in an offense that we all respect and have upside for. But Bucky, yeah, he didn't have the complete lead until late in the season. People bring that up as the downside of, well, don't put Bucky too high. But they did turn to him, and it's not like they got to him late in the season. It's like, all right, well, we'll bring Rachaad White back in. That was kind of a one-game thing. No, they kind of made the turn and said, we're sticking with the turn for the rest of the year. No, Cohen's not there anymore, but have we not seen enough from Bucky Irving? Just have the Buccaneers not seen enough from Bucky Irving to say, like, are we really going back to Rachaad White? The biggest thing coming off Rachaad White's rookie season and why the door was so open for Bucky was because he was very inefficient. Rachaad White's not a very efficient running back. I don't think they're sitting there and be like, yeah, we got to get him healthy because we got to make this split a Steelers 55-45. No. Bucky Irving, where you have him top 20, I think you can make the argument if you wanted to take him over Jacobs and Taylor, I'd be okay with it. I know that you don't have him in your rankings. I don't know, Ian, if you're saying that either. I'm just saying they're the same tier. If you want to take Bucky, I have no problem with him being a top 10, even higher running back.
So I have him directly. So now I've just bumped him down to 21 because I boosted up Kyron Williams. So I kind of switched their spot. So he's behind Jacobs, Brown, Kyron, Jonathan Taylor. If you wanted to take him in the same tier, I guess it's the way I agree he's on this tier. And what Ian said about efficiency, it's just simply hard to keep that up especially once you start getting more touches. But if you do project him for a little bit less, and let's say Rachaad White is day-to-day as we see, maybe he's out for a while, maybe he's back at practice by tomorrow, who knows? And let's say we see more of a split. It's a little bit more in the favor of Bucky Irving. It's like 65%, let's say. And then Sean Tucker is going to get his 2 to 3 touches a game. Then whatever the hell Rachaad White is doing, you're hoping that the main focal point of this offense in the backfield is going to be Bucky Irving. If you want to take him up as high as A-Chain, I would think that would make a ton of sense if that's the bet that you want to make. But I know the role of these other guys. I don't necessarily know that he's going to command that type of volume. And I feel like that's what puts him to the bottom of this tier for me, that I know that he might get it, but I'm not positive about it.
That's where I'm at. I got Bucky 21. When we were talking earlier, like, I would love to be able to start off with Jamar Chase and then get Bucky at that round 2 turn. So I'm not drafting the guy. I just feel like the arguments for Bucky Irving and Travis Hunter, it's like, oh my God, look how talented they are. Like, why are you ranking them higher? Like, we're talking about Josh Jacobs and Jonathan Taylor. These guys are also really freaking good at football. And I'm just not totally convinced that Bucky is that much better to potentially have to deal with, 30 or fewer, 40, 60, however many fewer touches than these other guys. So again, I just get tired of, oh man, look how talented he is. That's a very good factor. I agree. It's one of the biggest ones, but it's not the only one. And man, if we want to get really nerdy with it, Tristan Wirfs missing the first month of the year. We did lose Liam Cohen. Baker was awesome last year. Let's face it. Baker hasn't exactly been that good every year of his career. I just think with Bucky and honestly Emeka Egbuka, like, we're really expecting this Tampa Bay offense to be this top 5 scoring juggernaut. And hey, they did it last year, but I'm not totally convinced this is now going to be a yearly, annual outcome here.
Fantasy football season is back with a vengeance. You can get yourself the best tools possible this year, be it for season long, DFS, or betting. Whatever it is you need, you can get it at 4for4.com/Mayo. The most accurate projections and rankings in the business. 4 different levels. Code Mayo will get you 25% off everything, and you can upgrade just the classic season long, $39 a season. You can go monthly. That's going to cost you double. You should just buy it for the season. And then you get down to the betting package, $249 per season minus 25%. For Code Mayo, you get the props, the sides, the total bets, the tackle props, the player prop tool, the betting Discord, the articles, and everything else included in every other package. Get on it now so you can win your league. 4for4.com/Mayo.
20 to 50 in the rankings. It leads off with your everyone's main man, Bucky Irving, right now at 21. was Kyron Williams, now Bucky Irving. A.J. Brown and Ladd is a little mini tier. We'll talk about them in a second at receiver. The wide receivers, I got them all paired together. Kittle, Bowers, and McBride at 24, 25, 26. Garrett Wilson by himself. Then we're into quarterbacks. Allen, Lamar, Hurts, and Jaden Daniels. That's a big four for me, so that's where they're ranked. Chuba Hubbard, Omarion Hampton, James Cook, who just signed his 4-year contract with the Bills at 34. Brees Hall, T. Higgins, JSN, Tyreek, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans. That's number 40. Then we're into DK Metcalf, Marv Harrison Jr., Elvin Kamara, Kenneth Walker, James Conner, DJ Moore, Terry, who doesn't have a contract yet, so we'll see about him going forward. Devonta Smith, Xavier Worthy, and my main man, Jacoby Myers, in at number 50, a spot ahead of Cortland Sutton, who I just feel like I'm too low on when I look at this list. Like, that guy's pretty good. I feel like he's going to be a fantasy contributor.
Cortland Sutton, that being?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he'll contribute just a little bit. It's funny, like your quarterback ranking spot, too, the same four, almost, well, not the same exact four order, but almost the exact same spot. I'm back by 2 on you, whereas like I'm okay with taking him at the end of the 3rd round. As you mentioned, most drafts, they'll see second in home leagues and stuff like that. But that back end of the 3rd round, to go back to our previous discussion, is why I really like the 11-12 pick. Two questions, Pat. One very simple. You didn't do your T. Higgins thing, but the second part is why do you all of a sudden hate Alvin Kamara? That's your boy.
43 is not bad for half point. It was a bad offense.
I still haven't decided the top 35. He is the offense. I don't care. He was in a bad offense last year. He had Spencer Rattler for most of the season.
I don't know.
He is good. He is very. If Chris Olave can get past the concussion, this is 4 in 2 years, by the way. Chris Olave.
I have Shaheed above Olave, by the way.
I know we've had that conversation. I'm just bringing that one back up. I don't. We've had that we did that on the wide receiver show. If anyone wants to go back, I'm sure you'll put the link in the description, all that stuff. Olave, if he can stay on the field and be healthy, I think leads the team in receptions. But if it's not Olave, I think it's Kamara. I don't see any reason why he's not going to have 70 plus again, potentially even 80 plus. He is going to be the offense. I have so much Kamara so far because I'm getting as my second running back, or first if I go wide receiver to start, just because if we're talking half a full point PPR, which we do a lot, I think Kamara is pushing RB1 status still, even on a terrible team.
Why not just take the younger, more explosive version of Kamara, Kamara's old offensive coordinator in Seattle, baby? Give me some KW3.
He can't. Whoa, pause on KW3. Like, we just talked about that we started the show with the news that I got from Michael Sean Duger about the fact he's going to be a bell. He can't be a bell cow if he doesn't get on the damn field. Like, what the hell is going on with this guy?
It's August, resting, chill.
Taking a nap. I'm a big napper midday. Maybe that's just when they practice. He's like, can't do it. I got to take a nap.
Yeah, but that's like because you're like all of us. We go to bed at 1 o'clock and then wake up at 7 to get the grind going, and we need that nap in the afternoon.
Untrue. I go to bed right around 10 o'clock, and I wake up at 5 with the kids. Then I need my midday.
Same range. Range of sleep.
It's just I'm getting up a lot earlier than I used to, and just I am not conditioned. Like before, if you told me it was 5 a.m., I would have told you that I didn't go to sleep from the night before. Not that I got 8 hours of sleep and I'm waking up.
All I gotta say is the people who voluntarily do that, there's a reason that God created the sun when it rises. Like, that's when you're supposed to wake up, not before the sun is up. That's not the design.
I don't know. I find I get a lot done, Ian, waking up at 5 a.m.
Because everybody else is asleep.
Yeah, but there's nothing to distract you. It's pure focus. Even when I have the kids, I get them some breakfast. They're playing around, throw on, I don't know, whatever show's coming out. There's a new Carmen Sandiego show that's out. They're really into that.
Yeah, but then you're tired when there's cool stuff going on at night. Like, that's my issue with it.
That's the problem. But I'm married now. I'm 40. What the fuck am I doing? Oh,
don't you put on the what is it, the Yabba Dabba Lemon or whatever the hell it is that was specifically designed so kids won't look away from it, whatever the hell that show is?
Coco Melon?
There you go. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, they watched it when they were like 3. They're 6 and 5.
Oh, I didn't know what
they've aged out of it.
Did you know that's the actual story behind it? They actually had that on a screen and a separate screen next to it, and anytime they looked away, distracted by the other screen, they took whatever that was out of the thing and redesigned. So it's legitimately designed so kids don't look away from it.
I mean, that's how I designed this show, just by having me on it. I feel like people tune out, they're like, hey, Pat Mayo, he's good looking. Let me have like a quick beat or something. No, put Jake up there. We don't even know what's going on. So we're just going to keep the shot on me the entire time.
And your graphics and Tim. That's how you got everybody.
Exactly. People are just like, who is that? Who's that stud? Need to watch him. So let's kind of circle back up. Do you guys have a problem with where I have placed my both quarterback tier, Ian, and my tight end tier? Do you feel like that's too high?
No, I think it's perfect. Honestly, like again, I think there's a drop off in wide receiver. I would actually include T. Higgins up there with Lab McConkey and AJ Brown. But after those 12 guys, man, we can start looking at everyone. Actually, when I have my wide receiver tiers go out for free over at fantasylife.com, check it out if you guys want to. I basically called the next. Yeah, there we go. Basically called that next tier. Like, look at them. They're old, or we have questions about their QB. All right. Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, all the Ohio State Buckeyes in that wide receiver 2 tier. Like, at that point, just give me Josh Allen. Give me Lamar Jackson. And I also like the fact that you do have Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels firmly in the same tier with those guys. I do as well. Yeah, we can talk about who should be QB1 or QB2, but the discrepancy between Jalen Hurts and the rest of these guys in fantasy land really hasn't made much sense to me, because as much as we want to talk about dual threat quarterbacks and the safety net, the floor they provide, and they do, that's great. But Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen, that inside the 5-yard line role, it's really unlike anything else that the position is dealing with, guys. Over these last 2 years, fantasy points from rushing inside the 5-yard line, Jalen Hurts has 147. Josh Allen has 93. No other quarterbacks have 45. Okay. Like, so it really is like this is phenomenon right now where we have quarterbacks in Hurts and Josh Allen that are also their team's goal line backs. Give me those over wide receivers that we have any level of uncertainty about.
The next quarterback I have on the list is Joe Burrow, Jake, but I have him all the way down at 58. I'm basically, the rankings are telling you, get one of those 4 guys or wait and draft like Bo Nix.
I'm getting one of those 4 guys. Yeah, I was going to say, or Joe Burrow. I'm looking where I have Joe Burrow. I think I'm right in line with you in the same range.
But that's not where he's going, is the thing. He's going earlier than that.
I have him in the 40s.
Don't take Joe Burrow.
See, I'm okay with Joe Burrow. I actually took Joe Burrow in a recent draft, and mostly because he was the back end of round 5. So round 5
back
or
end
6.
Round 5, that's exactly where I have him ranked. I would then take him too, but that's not where he's going.
And that's certainly fair, which I kind of put, like, I would gamble late round 4 in the home leagues if he's going around there. I'm okay with it. I would prefer round 5. But the point being is, if I don't, it's not even take Bo Nix. It's basically I'm waiting to the end game. I'm waiting to rounds 11, 12, 13, 14, and likely doubling up. We talked about that on that show. If Bo Nix is still there, I don't think he will be, though. I think Bo Nix will be gone. Baker will be gone. Mahomes will be gone. So I'm double dipping in the Caleb, Drake, May, Jordan Love, like those kind of names, and double tapping those on the upside, because I don't think there's a big difference, if much at all, of any of those quarterbacks once we get past Joe Burrow.
So
I don't disagree with the actual, like, Bo Nix being ranked where he is among the QBs, but I'm not going to pay this 30 or 40 pick premium overall when we have guys like Justin Fields going outside the top 120 picks on ESPN and Sleeper. Jordan Love is 1 year removed from a top 5 finish. He's going pick 135 on ESPN right now. Also, every fantasy analyst's favorite late round quarterback, Drake May, like, he is a true late round option. So I'm a Jake where if you do get to that point, I probably feel better if I have 2 darts instead of 1. But again, once we are starting to get past these dual threat aliens at the top, again, Baker Mayfield, okay, rank him as the QB7. He's going overall pick 60 right now on ESPN. Like, miss me with that, man. There are still some stud RBs and wide receivers. I want basically like the top 36 running backs, probably the top 50 wide receivers, top 10-ish tight ends off the board before I'm going for a quarterback, unless it's someone at the top. And I have run the numbers on kind of top 50 overall quarterbacks. They usually return pretty awesome value. The only ones that haven't, we had CJ Stroud last season. We had Joe Burrow 2 years ago when he was dealing with the calf. And I think Justin Herbert mixed in there as well when he was a little bit banged up. So again, it's the pocket passers that were pushing too far up. Joe Burrow is the best of them. And if you are playing this 5.6 point passing touchdown league, okay, we can talk about moving him up there. But man, when there's just, again, that opportunity cost of missing out on those other positions, I've not been making a habit of guys like Burrow.
I have Nix, Baker, and Mahomes back to back at 74, 75, and 76. I could push them down, and I wouldn't worry about it. Like, these guys aren't necessarily going there. I did put Mahomes as a part of this tier, Jake, because I do think that there could be an FU Patrick Mahomes season coming.
So
it's like I've heard it. I'm a game manager. Watch this.
Well, there's 2 things here. I actually have them in the same tier. I don't have them with that same trio. I have Mayfield, Fields, and Nix as my 3 all in round 7, early round 7, which if they're there, most likely not going to be in average home leagues. And then my next group of 4 is actually Mahomes with Caleb Williams, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, and Brock Purdy. So I have them in the same tier of quarterbacks, but a different grouping overall where they're down in the 80s, unlike the others who are in the 70s.
The tight end tier that I mentioned, I have it at 24, 25,
Almost identical.
and 26, Kittle, Bowers, and McBride. And then I'm trying to see where my next tight end actually starts. Laporta
Round
is
15?
52. And that
I thought that was early, honestly.
I'm going to say, I'm even looking at
Laporta,
Laporta right now. I'm like, that's a bit much. And I think it's like Tucker Kraft is next with Ninja.
I don't start my tier, and my tier starts with Kelsey. It's actually Kelsey and Njoku, Andrews, Laporta. I don't start that next tier until pick 93.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm bumping
And
down.
tragic. First or
Laporta's
last, you can call it barbell if you want. I mean, again, I'm just waiting for the back. You got the first rounders.
Like the
too.
protein
Tyler
bars?
Wilson Loveland. No, just like, barbell. Big on one side, calm in the middle.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was just trying to.
I've moved Sam Laporta down to the next tier. Instead of being on a tier by himself, I've just sandwiched him in with TJ Hawkinson at 70 and 71.
They're essentially the same
Hawkinson's
guy.
someone I have barely drafted, and I've almost like gone out of my way enough just to now be worried that like he's just gonna say F you because the fantasy gods kind of work like that. I will say though, I mean, take your strength of schedule, stuff for what it is. Hawkinson is, one of these guys with like the best opening strength of schedule, and with the Jordan Addison suspension
There you
happening
go.
in the first 3 weeks. Prime guy, if you do happen to land him to maybe sell high on in week 4. That's my Hawkinson pitch.
I think that's the biggest thing people miss. I'm glad you brought that up, Ian, is just not only the fact that he could get off to a hot start, but I just did my last year's trash players with Pat, and I go back far enough working together that we were writing articles at the same time. But last year's trash, people that burned you in the past, and that he's not just last year's trash, he's the last 3 years trash. But if Kyle Pitts comes out of this game because Darnell Mooney is hurt, and we hope to get him at some point this season, like that, holy crap, what the hell is Raheem Morris talking about? But if Kyle Pitts comes out at weeks 2 through 3 games in, and he has 270 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first 3 weeks, people are going to pay through their nose to go get Kyle Pitts, and you can get him the hell off your team.
Well, this is why Kyle Pitts is actually a very good active late round target, Ian, because I completely agree with Jake. There are certain players that people want to believe in, but they're done with drafting them. But it's to equate this to a golf thing. Bubba Watson's odds, not like today, Bubba Watson like 5-6 years ago when he still used to win tournaments. He would either basically win a tournament or he would be dead last. He was the Ricky Bobby of the PGA Tour. He won like 3 times.
I get that reference.
But the way that they would list him in the opening odds wouldn't be good at all. He'd be like 50-1. But the moment he like birdied 2 holes, he would be like on par with Scotty Scheffler. They're like, oh, wow, Bubba's got it this week. So they're going to make you pay a premium in order to get him. Kyle Pitts is kind of that same way, where everyone has basically had him on their team now for some point of the last 3 years, and they've all been disappointed. But the reason that they had him is because they're like Mulder. They want to believe. So if you give them a reason to believe, like Jake said, 2 great weeks, I feel like you could actually flip him like he was the tight end 4 on the year behind that first group over the other guys and get whatever you want for him.
If he goes for like 60 yards and a touchdown in week 1, he's going to be on the cover of every single waiver wire magazine, and people are going to be going absolute nuts over the dude. So it is funny, like just that, again, miraculous 1,000-yard rookie season with absolutely no one else to throw the ball to, still holding so much weight. So I will say, again, kind of talking earlier, I was saying the Cowboys or could be this NFC version of the Bengals. I do get some of those vibes from the Falcons as well. The thing is, we did see 3 games last year with Michael Penix under center, and the target discrepancy was ridiculous. It was Drake London 39. Darnell Mooney missed 1 game, and we still only got 12 targets for Kyle Pitts. I've tried to come around, and honestly, at that late round price, you want to throw a dart and wait at the position.
That's
okay,
the
he's like
biggest
the
thing.
tight end 16. All right, it's hard for me to complain too much about anyone ranked that low, but like I just had the scariest thought where I was like, well, what if Kyle Pitts could out target Ray McLeod this year? Like the fact we even have to consider that, I think, is enough to kind of dig that grave.
But he's a 12th rounder, 11th rounder right now. So the biggest thing here is if it doesn't happen in the first 2 weeks, gone, move on. It's tight end. Just move on.
And he's an 11th round value that you could probably flip for a 5th round value in 2 weeks if he has a hot start.
If it hits,
Here's the problem, though, is that people say they will do that, but then they're like, well, I don't want to trade Kyle Pitts. He's too good.
You're not wrong there.
Like that happens every year. There's certain guys that we target, like you got to sell this guy by week 3 or week 4 because it's going to go downhill. But the moment he's actually on your team, and I'm just as guilty of this as anyone else is, like, well, I don't want to trade him. Everyone values players on their team way more than the rest of the league does.
100%.
Jake, if your job was on the line, who do you think scores more PPR points this year? Kyle Pitts or Zach Ertz?
Ertz.
Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz. He was top 10 last year. He could be Jaden Daniels leading. He had 16 targets in the NFC Championship.
He had almost 100 targets last year, and this is why I go back to like the Deebo Samuel. Jaden Daniels threw 200 targets to a bunch of jokers last year, including the fact that they brought back Jamison Crowder. But Zach Ertz is still going to get around his 100 targets. I know people are like Ben Sinnott could be a thing. Like Zach Ertz is, until he completely goes away or gets hurt, he's going to be involved as at worst the third option.
If Zach Ertz was the exact, like, just physical specimen he is right now, we know he's slow and stuff, but let's say he was a 35-year-old rookie, okay? If he was a fourth-round rookie coming in this offense, people will be drafting him 5 rounds earlier, but it's just Zach Ertz.
You guys worried about A.J. Brown and Ladd? Ladd I'm less worried about. I just feel like A.J. Brown has injuries everywhere. Like, I just keep staring at him and be like, I want to move him lower. But then you see the names that he's next to, you're like, well, that seems too low.
Well, and the fact that he was even higher than overall because higher in points per game, he was A.J. Brown. He's always A.J. Brown. And yes, at this point, it's starting to get a little bit concerning injuries. Ladd is a completely different topic, is that we talk about perceptions with Kyle Pitts, and I think Ladd's a good one, similar to Tyrone Tracy, but Scatterboo has the injury now, so Tracy kind of goes out the window with this point. But the point remains is when, and this isn't talking down to anybody, even though it's going to sound like it, when people don't know about the players as much as maybe we do, or like they come out of nowhere and they shock people like, oh my God. To your point about Kyle Pitts, is they don't want to trade him. It's like Ladd McConkey, I didn't see that coming. It's an amazing season. And then it kind of skews the perception of who they really are. Like Ladd McConkey's ceiling is probably not that much better than it was last year because your boy Jacoby Myers, kind of similar. You know, Ladd McConkey, if you told me he never had a season better than last year, I wouldn't be shocked. I still think he has some room, but he's also not a Chase. He's not a Jefferson. He's not a Malik Neighbors. And that's okay. That's who he is. I just believe that with Keenan Allen coming in, they're looking for options. So there is like, I have had McConkey where he is, and that's outside my wide receiver ones, but not by much. He's still inside my top 15. I just think Ladd McConkey it's okay that he is who he is. I just don't ever see him being in that top tier of wide receivers.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Part of my wellness routine this year has been focus more on family and focus more on Pat Mayo. So, been doing fewer shows, upping the exercise, eating better. If you have kids, it's just daily, nonstop grinding every single day. Couple that with workplace stress, and it's a bit difficult. Workplace stress right now is one of the top causes of declining mental health, with 61% of the global workforce experiencing a higher than normal amount of stress. So maybe BetterHelp is exactly what you need to do. It's helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. If you feel anything going on with you, you need to go to betterhelp.com/PatMayo right now. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. My listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/PatMayo. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/PatMayo. Look, I don't bounce back exactly the way that I used to when I was 20 years old, and it used to be I can either have a great night or just have a struggle the next day. That is until I found pre-alcohol. The Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle the rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for the rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly and you'll feel the best tomorrow. The final days of summer are here for you to enjoy. Whether you're heading to the beach, camping in the woods, or squeezing one last vacation road trip, do not forget to bring Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink. Drink a pre-alcohol before drinking and enjoy every day of summer to the fullest. Go to zbiotics.com/PatMayo to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Pat Mayo at checkout.
ZBiotics is packed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, head to zbiotics.com/PatMayo and use code PatMayo at checkout for 15% off. If you're looking for the rankings list itself, well, it will be a living document. You can get the link down in the description. You can bookmark that now. I highly recommend you sub to the Mayo Media newsletter. It's completely free. That's where the updates will come in. I'll also pin it up to the top of the articles tab on my X feed if you are looking for that. We go 50 to 100. I'm not going to read out every single name here because then it's just me reading names, but there's some fun catch. Don't dare me.
Do it on 2x speed.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't never listen to anything at 2x speed, 1.25. I would rather you not listen than you listen to it at 1.5 speed.
Oh, I love 1.5.
Fuck that.
What are you in a hurry for? Come on.
You're listening to you think people are tuning into this and be like, man, I'm getting some great information here. They're here for the hang. Hang with us.
Well,
Maybe
speaking of the hang,
from YouTube.
You know what? I'm gonna sidebar your show here because speaking of the hang, you left Ian hanging. I heard him groan when I said Lad McConkey, and I think he disagrees.
True. I have one take on this. If his name was Ladavius McConkey, you guys would be like singing his praises, ranking him.
Oh, you think it's the reverse racism on Lad McConkey?
He was even coming out. He had the quote yesterday saying that he doesn't know where the stereotype came, where he's just a slot receiver. If you watch him out there, guys, there is a little
I didn't say that.
Squint. He looks like young Antonio Brown. I kid you guys not. And I know that is one of the biggest, just hypes that we could throw out there and everything. But this dude, I mean, he was the wide receiver 5 during the second half of last season. Okay. I don't think old man Keenan Allen's going to be exactly taking away the targets. We love Justin Herbert. I do think he is as good as Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. I do think he's in that tier. So for me, Lad McConkey firmly inside that top 12. I was a little worried because he was missing a week or two of practice, but back out there, someone I'm very comfortable drafting at the end of round 2.
51, Cortland Sutton. Travion Henderson, DeAndre Swift, Isaiah Pacheco, Montgomery, RJ Harvey. Then there's Burrow, Rashee Rice, Zay Flowers. You got some Ted McMillan action on the go. Caleb Johnson. Juwan Jennings still doesn't have a contract, and now he's hurt. Jalen Warren's in here. Tyrone Tracy, Tucker Kraft, all from the 50 to 100 spot. Was there any names in particular that we should hit in here? I think we should hit on Travion Henderson, just because, first touch in the NFL, 100-yard touchdown. I feel like that's kind of boosting up his ADP a bit much.
It's still, but it needed to be boosted. We talked about that in the running back show, and I threw out the James White thing for you, Pat, because I know you're a big fan of that in the back of the day. I've had Travion Henderson inside my top 20 running backs right at 20, and I'm going to keep him there. I didn't move him up. I'm not going to move him down. I would take him right after Hubbard and Hampton and Connor, and I will continue to take him in front of DeAndre Swift and Caleb Johnson and Montgomery and Tony Pollard. Even with the injury there, I think that helps Pollard and maybe early sell high. But I'm going to keep him there, and it's because I don't need him to have 250 touches. I just need him to be 220, 230 in this offense as the primary pass catcher on top of things because, hey, I don't know if you heard, he pass blocks really well. He's going to stay on the field. The explosiveness is what we should be excited about on that run. Like, okay, are we going to get 2 or 3 touchdown returns this year? I won't even bank on that as part of your formulation. I would just bank on the fact that his explosiveness is one of the best in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, the kick return was cool. But for me, it was just seeing quickly he got the screen and then 2 checkdowns from Drake May. Really is. The only thing I was adjusting was maybe I thought the targets could be a little bit closer between Stevenson and Henderson. But I'm with Jake. He's my 49th player overall. I am taking him over those olds that are kind of in that low-end RB2 tier. Pat, my problem came with 3 wide receivers you have ranked right next to each other. Devereux, McMillan, George Pickens, and Calvin Ridley. I have these guys in the same order right next to each other, but I have them 45, 46, 47. I just think with T-Mac, we have 150-plus target upside. I believe in the talent of the 8th overall pick. George Pickens saying that CeeDee Lamb is, again, going off this Bengals-Cowboys sort of thing. George Pickens, you could argue, is cheaper T. Higgins. And then with Calvin Ridley. Again, if we wake up in Week 18 is leading the NFL in targets, I don't think anyone should be surprised.
Thank you.
That's a really good take. And that's what I saw week 1 of the preseason with Cam Ward throwing him the ball. I don't know. I just don't believe in these guys, I guess is really honestly.
Well, here's the thing.
I expect Pickens to do something amazing, followed by 3 of the worst decisions you've ever seen in your life.
So I was 2 for 3 in agreement with Pat, the one being Pickens. A little bit lower than he is, but I'm actually sandwiched between you guys. So I kind of fall in the middle on that one. The Calvin Ridley one is Yeah, I'm in the meat. The Ridley one is my big one. I tweeted it out a few weeks ago. 120 targets last year, top 30 wide receiver playing with garbage at quarterback. The guy had 4 red zone and 1 end zone target. And everybody's excited about Cam Ward. And this is even before the preseason game of what Cam Ward could do for this offense for the backfield and everybody else. And nobody's looping in Calvin Ridley to this. We just saw the Commanders last year and what happened with Terry McLaurin. And who was the other one last year? Oh, Bo Nix with Cortland Sutton. We just saw 2 examples with veteran wide receivers, quarterbacks stepping in as rookies that are supposed to fix the offense that we didn't properly boost and rate the wide receiver leading option on that team, and that should be Calvin Ridley. I have Calvin Ridley at 46, right one spot in front of, I like him more, one spot in front of Ian inside of my top 50. I think that Calvin Ridley should be on a lot of people's rosters.
You forgot to also mention the big breakout from last year, which was Spencer Rattler and Kelvin Austin. Really boosted him up. No, it wasn't even Kelvin Austin. It was Kevin Austin who was on the same team.
Rattler wasn't a rookie.
Rattler wasn't a rookie?
Was.
Good Lord.
Yeah, he was.
That year?
Last
Oh,
year.
yeah. It's only been 1 year? It feels like it's been 2. It's been
Who was
2.
Feels like 10.
Was Jake Hayner a rookie last year?
Yeah.
Seems like it.
Boy, that's a
No way of knowing for sure.
tough scene over in New Orleans. Still is.
I had one more.
I know.
had one more
I had a question about Kevin Ridley. If you like him that much more, would you rather have Marvin Harrison or Calvin Ridley?
Ridley.
Really? What about you, Ian?
Put me on the spot. It gets closer. I still think I'll give Marv a little bit of slack as just being, again, such a great recruit, prospect, and all of that. So I'd like to see it. I think the target ceilings are similar enough, but there is a Trey McBride. And, man, just the further it does go on with Kyler, guys, like we make all the short jokes. We see it almost every single game. It literally is a problem when you're in the pocket. So same tier. I'll still give Marv the edge, though.
So 2 things. I actually have Ridley 3 spots in front of Harrison. I go Ridley, Worthy, Sutton, Harrison. It's not Harrison the talent. In the last podcast I just did, I brought it up and I said it's watching what Harrison's been asked to do in the preseason and practices. It's the team's fault. I made the joke. They're running the 4 verts from Madden with him every damn play. Like, I understand coming out of college, our one nitpick of Marvin Harrison was maybe he doesn't have the complete route tree and needs to clean it up and separate a little bit better. But that doesn't mean just sending him on go routes every damn play. Zay Jones, as the number 2, is running a more complete route tree and connecting more with Kyler Murray. I don't get it. That's the point here. Like, I don't. Marvin Harrison is definitively the better talent. Like, maybe he's a bust in the NFL and we're all still going to be shocked that he's Trevor Lawrence from 3 years from now and we all overrated him. But as of today, Marvin Harrison's usage is the problem as somebody who actually had more red zone opportunities and targets than Trey McBride last year and still struggled to be what it is. So it's not Kyler. I know you bring that up, but I don't even think it's Kyler. I don't think it's Marv. I think it's what the team keeps asking him to do, and they're just using him improperly.
You've sold me on Calvin Ridley. I've moved him up to number 46, which is now the top of that tier with I kept him behind Marvin, DK, and Mike Evans. He's now above DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, Xavier Worthy, Jacoby Myers, all those guys. So good sell job. Good SJ.
One thing.
Oh.
He has week 1 Chiefs.
I don't care.
No, I know, but if he comes out of the gate 2 for 40, people are going to be pissed. So, like, if you didn't get him, if you didn't draft him,
I am
trade for him.
unconcerned about some fucking mouth breather.
No,
on the
I'm
internet,
saying
how mad they are. Someone sucked week 1. Get over it.
No, that's my point. I'm like saying for everybody listening, you missed my point here is that if you didn't get Ridley, you might be able to trade for him after week 1 because people are going to overreact and be like, oh, he sucks. The Titans suck. It's a bad week 1 matchup where he could start off slow and open up a window for you to trade after week 1 because people overreact. The one name I wanted to bring up and push down in your ranks is we need to stop with the effing Zay Flowers crap. Like, he just finished as a wide receiver 35 in points per game with Lamar Jackson throwing 41 touchdowns. How does it get better for Zay Flowers? We just need to understand that Lamar Jackson / Ravens, that offense, is never going to support a top 15 wide receiver. We can wish cast everybody in the world, trade for Jamar Chase and put him on this. You know what Jamar Chase would be on the Ravens? Wide receiver 15. Like, they just not who they are. They spread it around to everybody. And when they get to the red zone, as we've seen, the biggest thing is they turn to their tight ends, which was always an issue to begin with.
No, likely.
What?
Likely has a severed foot or something.
No, I know, but Zay Flowers is never going to be a touchdown monster anyway. That's just not who he was going to be.
So, Ian, I have him at 60 overall. Would you rather draft Zay Flowers or Jalen Waddle?
Waddle.
Let me see.
I know you
where
asked Ian.
have Waddle. The thing with Waddle, man, last year, it's like, why was that so bad for him even once Tua was back? But sticking with Flowers for a second, I'm with Jake. I believe that he really is one of the better, not better wide receivers in the league, but I think he can like legit be a number one wide receiver. But yeah, they spread the ball out so much. And you do the whole Lamar era, and this isn't a Lamar can't pass thing. I think it's more so of it's a run first offense, and they have a lot of different mouths to feed. The only time that anyone's finished in the top 24 is Marquise Brown back in, I think, 2021. He was the wide receiver 23. So I kind of had the same realization as Jake early in the offseason, where it's like Lamar just, I don't want to say peaked necessarily as a passer, but like we can't expect 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns out of him every single year. And we still couldn't get a boom from Flowers or Bateman. So I do hear you there. With Waddle, it is a situation for me, though, where, again, I don't know what happened last year. I've gone through the injury reports. He had a knee later in the year, like week 14 or something. But at least Tyreek, as bad as he was without Tua, like he turned back into a low-end wide receiver, too, during that stretch. Jalen Waddle was getting outscored by Romeo Dobbs and Quentin Johnston last year.
And
man.
John
Like,
Smith.
It was rough. And yeah, you can say, well, look at the first couple years of his career, but Waddle is one of the more confusing ones out there. I do think in that tier of, Travis Hunter, Calvin Ridley, and Jalen Waddle, which tier in terms of where they're going in ADP, I haven't been clicking Waddle that much.
Here's what happened. I'll tell you. This is what happened. Pat and I even talked about it last year. The NFL adjusted to the Dolphins, and the NFL saw Mike McDaniel and said, you know what? We're going to freaking shell the crap out of you. And actually being shell defense. And it wasn't just a general shell. They would almost shell size of the field. And they kept everything in front. And they said, we're just not going to let you use your speed and get behind us and throw guys open. And Mike McDaniel hasn't adjusted yet. And that's the biggest thing. So I am betting and hoping that Mike McDaniel's smart enough to, be the guy he was 2 years ago, where he was a step ahead of everybody and adjusts back to the NFL and gets Waddle into better situations. But you're not wrong, Ian, in the fact that it was very concerning with Waddle. The good news is, because of that, he's going at a discount this year for somebody who has finished as a top 15 wide receiver. It's more on McDaniel and that offense to fix what went wrong last year. And that was not adjusting midseason to what the NFL was doing to him.
One word answers only, and I want to go to both of you. Jake, you can answer first. Zay Flowers or Juwan Jennings?
I can't.
That's one word
Healthy
answer.
Jennings. Healthy Jennings.
2 words.
I know.
Ian?
I got Flowers.
Flowers or Jerry Jeudy?
Judy.
Flowers.
Flowers or Italy's own Ramadunze?
Adunze.
Flowers.
All right, so Ian, you were about where I was with Zay Flowers, right around 50. But I had him ahead of Tet and Pickens. You wouldn't, so I'll put him right next to like Judy and Jennings and Adunze, those guys. I'll put him a spot ahead of Waddle, since it sounds like we all hate Waddle.
Pat, I do have a guy ahead of pretty much all these players who you do not even have inside your top 115. Can you guess who it is?
Cooper Kupp.
Matthew Golden. Do you hate first-round rookies and good offenses that don't have anyone else to throw the ball to, Pat?
The shower in Green Bay? No, thanks. Pass.
What do you have him at wide receiver, Ian?
He's my 61st player overall. I just moved him up yesterday. I think wide receiver 31. He's right next to Travis Hunter.
There you go. I actually go Hunter and Golden back to back. I have him a few spots. I have him at 35, but we're right there.
I just, after years of trying to figure out, and I know certain guy like Jaden Reed's already banged up. Watson's probably going to start on PUP. Romeo Dobbs, who knows? Maybe he'll quit the team and come back again when he gets more work. I just don't want to play this game with the Packers. And I think that's reflected in every Packers ranking I have outside of Josh Jacobs.
So I think the game that you're not playing, that you don't have to worry about it, Golden is clearly the one. It's going to come down to they keep Dobbs as the 2 and play him mostly outside and let his big play ability work, which I think is the answer here. And Reed is the 3. When they run 3 wide, they're all out there. When they drop down to 2, I actually don't know that it's going to be a consistent. It's always Reed as the 2 or it's always Dobbs as the 2, because we just saw that last year. They'll mix and match and rotate. They'll use them differently depending on the formation. And I think the biggest answer there, though, is going to be who's still the 1? Golden. I think we're finally going to see the fact that Golden is going to be the one that stops with a 65% route rate by every damn wide receiver on the Packers. I think he's going to be the one that's out there 80% of the time, and that's why you don't have to play the game anymore, because you can just avoid Dobbs and Reed. You could just draft Golden.
Pushback. Are you sure?
I would bet money on that one.
Family night snap counts, Pat. We know for sure.
Are you
Family night.
only drafting Matthew Golden because of K-pop Demon Hunters and how that is taking over the charts with Golden as the best song?
Did you watch it? I tried 5 minutes of it and I couldn't.
I watch it because my kids watch it, Jake. You don't have kids. You shouldn't be watching that. It's for little
I just wanted to see what all the rage was about.
Well,
Whoa, hold on. Time out. Look at my damn shirt, hat with duct. Do you really think that the kids watching show problem is with me? Like, really? What do you think is in my rotation?
I get there is something nostalgic about going back and watching shows from your own childhood. I understand that a little bit more, but it's like, hey, here's new kids content. Sign me up.
Not the K-pop demon hummers, but hummers.
You getting K-pop demon hummers over there, pal?
That's the adult content right there.
Pat, the three wide receivers that we
just go.
Biggest difference on Matthew Golden, the Shower, great nickname by the way. I'm going to start stealing that. Jordan Addison, someone that I think should probably be in that low-end wide receiver 3 range. We're only missing 3 weeks. They're going to be weeks 1 through 4. It's not like we have to worry about buys then anyway. He was, weeks 9 through 17. It's the offseason still. It's the period for arbitrary timelines, Wide receiver 5 overall. He's a good football player. And then Stephon Diggs, okay? As much as we want to talk about
you know what? I moved the shower up. I moved the shower up to, where are we at here? Right behind Ricky
you didn't even have to finish saying his name, and I knew Pat was going to get enraged.
I will go down with the ship. I will be as wrong as I can be if Molly Diggs is good. But no thanks.
He hasn't finished worse than wide receiver 25 since Obama was in office. Come on.
How about last year?
Wide receiver 17. Until he got hurt.
There you go.
Modern science, technology.
Yeah, modern science, whatever was in that bag.
He's taking his pharmaceuticals out to the boat to get himself right. Just no.
Everyone loves Drake May.
The Mario Douglas is going to outscore.
Hey, crazy thought here.
Super DeMario. Yes,
is maybe the love for Drake May a little too much? How about that one?
No, because I think that Drake May gets it done with if he continues to run, and maybe Henderson actually takes away from the bottom line of Drake May in a really weird way, that if he doesn't have to take off as much and can dump it off and let Henderson go a little bit more, maybe that does hurt his upside. But I think what Ian said a little bit earlier is you don't want a pocket passer. You want a dual threat running back. And it's pretty clear that Drake May is offering that service.
Oh, no. To clarify.
He's not in a shower. He's just,
to clarify, 100%.
With May, I hear you.
No.
I see him like in the top 10. And I'm like, yo, chill.
To clarify again, so the Daniel Jones 707 I bring up all the time. That's Drake May, potentially even more. I wasn't saying Drake May is so much the quarterback. It was because we were talking wide receivers of trying to find out, okay, Drake May takes a step forward. Kyle Williams is way down the depth chart. Demario Douglas, Kayshon Boutte, Stephon Diggs coming back from my point was specifically for the passing game options is are we going too far in that Drake May is definitively going to be better as a passer and chasing these Patriots wide receivers where the answer might just be none, just draft Drake May and Trevion Henderson.
That would be my approach to it. I have a soft spot in my heart for Demario Douglas. I just like Pop Douglas.
You got to do it right.
Demario! It's a super Demario Brothers super show for the Patriots at Foxborough this year. I hope so, because I'll probably draft him in the last round. Actually, I'll probably draft Slayton in the last round. Who knows? Jake, give me one more guy you're mad about.
One more. I didn't go that far. Go to Ian first. I was still trying to figure out if you look up your freaking players. Apparently, I'm a boomer.
Okay, I got one for you, Pat. I got one for you, Pat. Jordan Mason. He's someone that I actually have top 80. You have him outside the top 100.
Is he low on him?
I think Jordan Mason
I'm
is
at 103.
cheaper, David. Yeah, so it's not horrible, but we got to get that up. Those are rookie numbers, man. This guy could just be a cheaper version of David Montgomery. I mean, Jordan Mason, man, I know the odds have already been rising, but dark horse actually lead the league in touchdowns potentially, okay? I don't think we're going to be seeing Aaron Jones near the goal line. You guys laugh now. We'll see what happens. Derrick Henry should be number 1, okay? But Jordan Mason, someone who was balling out last year. All the advanced metrics look good. He only running backs with more rushing yards first 8 weeks for Saquon Barkley and the King Henry himself. So we've heard everything basically out of Vikings camp, 1A, 1B. And I'm telling you, man, the price, in these home leagues, he is going next to pure handcuffs. Trey Benson and Tyler Algier aren't going that far behind him. You can get a legit flex with benefits at the price of a handcuff and Jordan Mason. And what if something does happen to old man Aaron Jones? All of a sudden, Mason could be a legit RB1.
I'm with you on that, but I did rank him near those types of guys. That's how I'm going to treat a player that I don't think that I can use. Now, you seem to be sold the other way, that as a 1B in this offense, he could be a potential flex option like David Montgomery every single week. And if you do think that, he should not be a part of this tier. I'm not sold on that yet. We still got time before draft start here, and I can amend these rankings. But I have at 101 starting there, Tajay Spears, who is injured, but I think it just provides a better discount because he's still behind awful Tony Pollard. So eventually that job will be his. Spears, Benson, Mason, Chubb, Jaden Blue, Eckler, Etienne, J.K. Dobbins, Jerome Ford, Dylon, Sampson, Tank Bigsby. Like that range of guys, like someone gets hurt, these guys are going to be good. If no one gets hurt, I can't see using them.
Got to push him up right next to Brian Robinson. That's basically what we're getting here.
As soon as Jordan Mason gets shot and comes back 5 weeks later, I'll give him that toughness spot. But no, not yet.
Hey, so far so good this year. We don't have one for the third year in a row. Robinson, Pearsall, nobody so far
Knock
this
on wood,
year.
Jake.
I know. I did find one. We already. I'm not going to bring up Justin Fields. We had that conversation. If anybody wants to go check out the quarterback conversation, I'm definitely higher on him. It's at wide receiver. This is actually somebody I just checked inside of my top 80 and top 40 wide receivers that I would take before.
I'm too low, Quentin. I'm too low on Quentin Johnston, aren't I?
No, my God, that was an atrocious ranking. He's ahead of
Not
Matthew Golden.
Yeah, not anymore. I like Quentin Johnston.
They're fixed. But no, I would take before Stephon Diggs, even hoping Debo bounces back. I would take him before Debo Samuel, and it's a rookie. It's Jaden Higgins. I keep bringing him up a time, and he's already the number 2. He's already playing as the number 2. The team has already made him the number 2. Dane Brugler, the Athletic, compared to Nico Collins. I thought that was super lofty, but I compared him to your boy back in the day, Pat, Marv Jones. And if he's just Marvin Jones, that's 1,000, 1,100 yards, 7 or 8 touchdowns as the number 2. The biggest thing I like about him is because of his ability, if you want to make the Nico Collins comparison or the Marvin Jones comparison, as bad as CJ Stroud was last year, he was still one of the more efficient pocket passers, especially to Nico Collins when under pressure. Nico Collins' yards per route run when CJ Stroud was under pressure was number 1 in the league. So you bring in another wide receiver like that who's not Tank Dell, that doesn't need a few seconds to get downfield, and CJ Stroud doesn't have time to look at him 30 yards downfield anyway. Christian Kirk, yeah, okay, cool. Can he stay on the field? And even so, he's the third option anyway. Jaden Higgins, I think, is going to immediately, he is lesser version. He is not going to put up the numbers of Brian Thomas, but he is this year's Brian Thomas, of the guy that didn't get enough respect, that should be in a bigger conversation with Golden and those likes of wide receivers of rookies.
So good sell, good SJ on him. So I'm going to put him on.
What it is, you can't afford it.
I'm going to put him on the tier with just random wide receivers that I like. So that like 89, 90, 91. I'll put Higgins at number 92. So that's behind Shaheed, Tillman, Olave. Then I'll put Higgins.
Yeah, I like it. I like that group of names.
So that's where we'll go. I know everyone's got to run. We did a lot of minutes here today, 80 minutes on the top 150, and they're going to be changing. We're going to be doing more shows. So I think that starting next week, maybe we'll start doing what's going on with the preseason games, injuries, how the rankings are adjusting. So if we didn't touch on any of the players that you wanted to hear about today, first of all, you can go to the by position rankings, where I can almost assure you that we did talk about these guys. They're down in the description right now, and we'll talk about the pertinent players and ADP risers as we get closer to actual draft season. But Ian, they can find all of your rankings up on fantasylife.com, and your Friday show is up on their YouTube channel as well.
Sure can. If you want those rankings, 20% off, by the way. Code Ian, fantasylife.com. Always great talking to you guys.
Jake Ciely from theathletic.com. Your rankings are much like mine. They're very fluid, that they do change with news and from time to time, correct?
Yes, I actually even included like little bullet points at the end of the rankings piece this week to say, like, this is what changed from week 1 of the preseason. Like Kyle Williams having an enormous drop because he can't even get past Booty and Bourne and all the other jabronis out there. But also, these long forms, you'll be able to catch the podcast is back. I was going to bring that up. The all-in speed run, the short versions, 15 minutes, but the long versions, I'm going to start including these over there as well.
Awesome.
That's why you were making those notes, for everybody that's wondering, so I can keep mine clean.
Keep it clean with Jake Ciely. That should be the name of the podcast.
There you go. That's a good one.
And then you can put on like a bald wig and you can look like Mr. Clean. It'd be perfect.
But then I have the beard.
4for4.com/Mayo to get you 25% off any of the packages up until August 20th. You can use the Sharp Stack betting app over there as well. It's all sports, it's props, it's sides, it's totals. I highly recommend it. It's completely free. There's no credit card or any sort of money sign up to go test it right now. And then you can use Code Mayo to get yourself 25% off when the time comes. All my rankings, link is down in the description right now, so please go check it out. I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Mayo experience! Experience!